Trump promised Chicago was ICE's next target, and he followed through. DHS launched its latest immigration crackdown operation in the Windy City on Monday, dubbing it Operation Midway Blitz. ICE posted this to X yesterday. Chicago, a sanctuary city that attracts and protects criminal illegal aliens to the detriment of law-abiding citizens. In an ICE-led operation, we are here to remove these dangerous public safety threats from American communities.
In response, Illinois Senator Dick Durbin called for an effort to, quote, stoke fear, or he called it an effort to stoke fear, and Governor J.B. Pritzker posted this to X. Once again, this isn't about fighting crime. That requires support and coordination. Yet we've experienced nothing like that over the past several weeks. Instead of taking steps to work with us on public safety, the Trump administration's focused on scaring Illinoisans. The operation was launched just hours before the Supreme Court handed Trump a victory, lifting the limits placed on Los Angeles area immigration stops.
Those limits prevented immigration enforcement from making stops based on a person speaking Spanish or working in a certain profession. The Trump administration called that order from a California district judge a, quote, straitjacket on enforcement efforts.
Now, Justice Sonia Sotomayor was joined by the court's two other liberal justices in a scathing dissent against the majority opinion. Justice Sotomayor writes the majority's decision is, quote, unconscionably irreconcilable with our nation's constitutional guarantees, and continues that decision is yet another grave misuse of our emergency docket. We should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work a low-wage job. Rather than stand idly by while our Constitution freedoms are lost, I dissent.
Well, that's her right to do so, but I don't know why we're obsessing over the dissent.
Well, as a Latino woman, but as a Latino woman, I think that's important for her to say, not because you're making any decisions as a Supreme Court justice because you're a Latino woman, because we've watched this play out before. So when you look at, which we agreed upon, unless you change your mind, stop and frisk was a failure. Mm-hmm. And they stopped people because of the way they looked, because of how they thought they sounded.
I didn't say it was a failure. I said it was improper.
Right, and the people.
There's a difference between the two things.
Okay, explain the biggest difference. I think it was a failure.
Well, I don't know if it might have had an effect on bringing down crime. Look, we can always have the trade-off between liberty and security is what we debate in terms of what our government should do, right? You can always have less liberty and more security, or the other way around. So we're trying to decide how much liberty do we want and how much security we want. Stop and frisk, I would argue, even if it provided greater security, was too much of a cost to the people's liberty
in New York.
And it was not a good idea, and I don't support it.
So this is the thing, when you're talking about people speaking Spanish, like, I think the country pretends like the only migrants coming here are Spanish speaking. Mm-hmm. Like, we have thousands and thousands of Chinese migrants that come here. Mm-hmm. They just take the plane. They're not hopping over any type of border, like
South Korea, and then just overstay. Trying to build our factories.
Right. Okay. South Korea. So we're initially targeting people that are Latino specifically, and that is what Sotomayor is talking about. You're not just trying to find all migrants. We have like the Ukrainian woman who, by all standards, I guess, unless she spoke, then how would you know she was Ukrainian? What is the descriptive thing? Like, so the descriptive thing for someone Spanish is speaking Spanish, even though Latino people look a variety of different ways. It's speaking. And so you're just kind of deciding because based on how they look, that's the first thing you're going to see. Then if they speak Spanish, it's like, okay, 2 strikes, you're getting arrested. And like, we have the second most popular language in our country is Spanish. So are they just going to go around and, like, if it was you and I standing outside, I would be the one to get arrested, Robby, is what I'm saying.
What I believe, if I recall correctly, Tom Hammond said about this is that it would be one of a variety of factors. And it's like, if you meet this, and this criteria, you might get, again, stopped. Where compared with stop and frisk, where it was just like a routine policy of not just stopping and then seeing if you were carrying a weapon for just black people universally without additional factors. So speaking Spanish, looking Hispanic. Again, I'm not defending it. That's what the administration is saying, and it won at court. So.
And they're also, I just think that it's not the best way to go about it. I also think when you're talking about Trump stepping into Chicago, I think that they're getting confused. Like, the public safety is not partisan. People actually want migrants that are criminals, like Trump campaigned on, to leave the country.
Well, it feels partisan when Brandon Johnson is rejecting help from the government.
Because government overreach is partisan. Mm-hmm. That's the part that he's rejecting. Mm-hmm. He said, just like Wes Moore said in Maryland, please come talk to me. Let's talk about how we can actually use and integrate federal help. That doesn't mean
No, he didn't say that. He went on
Wes Moore did say that.
Well, Brandon Johnson is the...
Pritzker said, I would love to have been contacted. I would love to understand what was going on. I don't even know. He said this on Sunday. He doesn't know when the presidents and federal people are supposed to come. He just is going off what he's hearing. Why would a governor go off what he's hearing from our president of our country?
Brandon Johnson was asked point blank by Morning Joe, would you like more cops? Well, don't you think more cops will be helpful? And he wouldn't say so, even though it's obvious they would be.
Because maybe he wants to implement a layer of strategies, and he doesn't want to just go off telling Trump, yeah, bring more cops. Maybe he actually thinks community policing is really important. Maybe he thinks investing in programs that get kids off the street is really important. So maybe he wants allocated funds and a conversation, which is respectful to do from a president of a country and a leader in another city. It's in another state. But it's always important to understand, if you look at our history and when there were actually emergency dire situations like Hurricane Katrina. In New Orleans, they actually needed federal help, and they called the president and said, please send in National Guard and help us out. That is the routine that our country generally follows. What is the issue with President Trump just following that routine and seeing what help they need?
The crime and the immigration are two different things, right? On crime, yes, I don't think we should send in the National Guard to cities that don't want them there to help with the crime problem.
It's all government overreach, which is why I'm putting them together.
Okay, but immigration is the purview of the federal government. The states can't just have different immigration policies. The cities can't just have different immigration policies. This is true of states that wanted to have stricter immigration policies. I remember 10 and 15 years ago, whenever it was, Arizona had that controversial state law because they were trying to have a stricter immigration policy. Texas has tried to have a policy that their own law enforcement would act as border agents with stricter policies than the federal government. And they've lost at court every time because the Supreme Court has said, no, you can't make a separate policy from the federal government. So if they can't have one that's stricter because red states really want to get rid of immigrants, then I don't know why the cities get to say, no, thank you, we'll deal with it. Well, no, it's the federal government's purview. That's what the Supreme Court has decided.
I know, but in Chicago, they're still conflating two issues because all I've been hearing is conversations from Republicans saying how bad crime in Chicago was, specifically on Labor Day. Okay, so why are we talking about that if you're going there specifically and only for immigration?
Because they won't let them help with the crime problem.
No, it's not. They can help, but he has to have President Trump said that Pritzker needs, the governor of Illinois needs to call him. Mm-hmm. Why would the governor need to call him when you had this bright idea to send federal troops in? That makes no sense. You are the person of power. You call the person, right? When you get a job offer or something, doesn't your boss call you? You don't give them a call. Hey, you got the job. Like, hey, you don't reach out and continuously go back and forth trying to say, please come help me. Like, there's a job offer. They reach out to you. They make the decision. President Trump needs to give Governor Pritzker a call and make this organized if he wants to help solve crime. Otherwise, yeah, go in there for immigration. But I also think that it's going to end up being unlawful when this all plays out in the book of how Trump's second term went. It's going to look bad.
Well, the Supreme Court has no problem striking down aspects of the Trump agenda that fall outside the constitutional permission of the administration, and I'm happy to see that when it does take place, because I just love the Constitution. Next up, House Oversight Democrats have released the infamous birthday letter that Trump allegedly sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Don't go anywhere.